evening, people. We are here. We are live. We are back. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're all doing well on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon. It's Champions League football later this evening. Actually, I think, if I'm not wrong, I think there's football on actually right now. I think Bayer Leverkusen is playing. But big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe if you are new here. It's the road to 7K and we're less than 100 away. So let's try to get there before the end of the month. Let's try to get there before the end of the month. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe in the coming weeks, inshallah, God willing. I got a big announcement to make, so make sure you guys stick around to find that out. Big up to Quartz in the chat. Big up to Manzi in the chat as well. We got a bit to talk about, guys. We got a little bit of stuff to talk about. Before we get to the Fenerbahce stuff, Jose Mourinho comments, Erik Ten Hag presser information should be out in the next hour or so. There's news and there's talk. Not just about transfers for players, but potentially for a manager. Now, I quickly touched on it yesterday, but we got some more information regarding the fact that Manchester United and INEOS are potentially, or were potentially, interested in Javi this summer before they decided to keep Erik Ten Hag, and they've been in contact with his camp of recent. Now, a little bit about Javi, what we know. Had a stint at Barcelona, ended a bit bitterly, I would say, Deco, etc. It was a messy ending for him. And he's apparently does not want to play, he does not want to coach in Spain ever again. I think he's traumatized. I low-key think he's traumatized from coaching in Spain. And I guess it's because he's such a big Barcelona legend that if it didn't work out managing for Barcelona, he probably doesn't want to coach anybody else. And I get that. That's understandable. Now, he wanted 1 year off from coaching. And maybe that could kind of solidify this idea that INEOS are looking at him as a potential target. Now, there's been a few names that we've heard over the last couple of weeks, potentially if Manchester United part ways with Erik Ten Hag towards the later stages of the season. But Javi, I think, is a legit candidate. And the reason why I think he's a legit candidate is because, A, he's available. It's a cost-saving strategy for INEOS, who are clearly trying to cut costs in every possible way that they can. They don't have to pay a release clause for him. They don't have to pay a fee to a club to get him. He is available immediately. It would have been the same as, Thomas Tuchel, and I think it'd be the same as Graham Potter as well. So that's one thing. Number two, I think he's a decent coach. I think he's a good coach, especially in his time at Barcelona. So it ended very bitterly, but I think that was circumstances out of his control. I actually think the ending at Barcelona was more reflective of Barcelona's camp than it was of Javi. Now, as a manager, I think the sample size might not be as big as, say, Thomas Tuchel, because he had a stint as well in Qatar as a coach. That's where he really started his coaching career. So there are some positives. There are definitely some positives. But you look at the pool of managers that could be potentially linked with him. They're not the best. Court says, I got Pro Clubs drawer. Apparently, we're playing Pro Club. Apparently, we are playing Pro Clubs tonight on KG stream. So we'll see how that goes. I need Lil Yo-Yo here because Lil Yo-Yo, you're my guy in it. That's all I have to say. Mixed feelings at the thought of Javi. Before we actually get into the Javi talk, let's actually talk transfers, because we are nowhere near the transfer window. We're nowhere near summer. I mean, winter hasn't even started yet. And people are already talking about, and journalists are already talking about, Manchester United's summer targets. Now, there are some talk as well about Manchester United's winter targets. But personally, I don't see Manchester United signing anybody in the winter. Man United don't do, except for of recent, the teams like Chelsea doing big signings in January. Manchester United historically do not sign big in January. However, I'm going to counter that by saying the last real big signing that they made in January was actually Bruno Fernandes. I know they signed Igalo in January. I know that they signed about Weghorst, Sabitzer, etc. I understand that. But when I'm talking about big signing, I'm talking about spending 40, 50 million on a player. They haven't done that since Bruno. And that was, by January, will be 4 years since that. So potentially there could be room for that. And given the fact that it's a new financial year, so INEOS don't really have to penny pinch. However, whatever money that may come out of the January window, it might impact the summer window potentially. Now, few players that Manchester United have been linked to in the January and the summer transfer window, as well as players that you and I probably haven't really heard of. So it looks like Manchester United are moving down this recruitment alley of South America, and Africa, like we saw already in the summer transfer window with Seko Kone coming into Manchester United. But quite a few of the names that I've seen Manchester United being linked to are talents in South America. And I'm not going to sit here, guys, and lie to you guys and say I know about these players. But this guy here, I know about him because I was watching him when he was at Lyon in 2022, and then he moved to RB Leipzig. So Manchester United, Real Madrid, and Liverpool are reportedly all interested in signing Castello Luqueba, currently at RB Leipzig. I think he went to RB Leipzig, I want to say last season. I think they brought him last season, and he plays alongside other players such as Mohamed Simikan. He's agreed to extend his Leipzig contract to 2029 and will be highly sought after in the summer. Now, if Manchester United are going into another foot race for a centre-back up against Real Madrid, I mean, I look at Real Madrid's centre-backs and I'm thinking, yeah, they're definitely probably going to be looking to sign a young talent at some point over the next 12 months for their centre-back position. Of course, they've got Alaba, who I don't think has actually come back from injury yet. They've got Militao, they've got Rudiger. I wouldn't be surprised if Castello Luqueba is actually a centre-back that they're after because he's a very good one in that. However, Manchester United have a connection to RB Leipzig through the recruitment director. I can't remember what his name was, but he was part of the Red Bull system, first at Salzburg, then at Leipzig before going to Chelsea. So that is one thing that could work in their favor. Now, again, this is something to just keep an eye on. Like I said, in my opinion, I don't see too many players. I don't really see anyone. I don't see United buying anyone in January, albeit the fact that I saw, and we're going to get to it when we start talking about the Europa League game, I saw the midfield options for Fenerbahce tomorrow, and I actually nearly vomited. Manchester United have taken 3 midfielders to Turkey, guys. I actually felt physically sick. Those are probably going to be the 3 that start the game, and who the hell is going to come on at halftime? So on the topic of midfielders, this has kind of been debunked. Now, I spoke about Angel Gomes a couple of months ago on here, on the channel, saying that Manchester United should look at him. It's been debunked by the Muppets, but I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking that it could be something. Manchester United reportedly are not looking at signing Angel Gomes in January, but this does not take away from the idea of potentially him joining in the summer. Now, similar to a Christian Eriksen type of signing, this would be, I think, a low risk. No fee, purely wages. So from an FFP perspective, it wouldn't be the worst idea. Now, people talk about, sentiment, he's an academy kid, he'll know the team through and through. I don't care about all of that stuff. I just care about the football side of stuff. Will he improve Manchester United in midfield? Now, again, I've seen this debate and I've seen this argument quite often about players of smaller stature, players who are not physical. But then I think about players who of the same physique as Angel Gomes who have succeeded in football. It's as simple as that. Right now, you look at João Neves balling out at PSG, the same João Neves that some Manchester United fans turned their nose up at because they thought he was too small, too petite for the Premier League. You look at Bernardo Silva, who, again, a great player for Manchester City. I watched the interview of Bernardo Silva, on Sky Sports, and I think it was with Ruben Diaz, and they were talking about, the interviewer asked them, I think it was actually Smithy from Sky Sports, so shout out to Smithy. He was asking them about weight training, and Bernardo Silva said straight up, I don't do weights in the gym. He said, I don't do weights in the gym. I don't do weights, full stop, basically. And when he was pressed about it and said, why don't you do weights? He said, weights in the gym are for people who are not good with the ball at their feet. So he's taking the piss and saying people that are not technically good players have to bulk up and be strong on the ball because people will take the ball off them. So he's trying to say, I don't need to go to the gym because I can play with the ball at my feet. Now, I'm not saying Angel Gomes is of the ilk of Bernardo Silva, and I'm not saying he is of João Gomes, but equally so, I actually feel Angel Gomes did not get a pure chance at Manchester United. It's as simple as that. I really don't think so. And his technical ability and what he can contribute to Manchester United, I actually think it's not something you see on the score sheet in the form of assists or goals all the time. It wouldn't be that. Now, if Man United are going to lose Christian Eriksen and they don't want to keep him because of age, because of health, because of fitness, because of injuries, whatever all the reasons are that they don't want to keep Christian Eriksen, I think a replacement should be a player who's available on a free and a player who is of the same ilk of him, as the same kind of profile as him. I don't know how people look at this and kind of turn up their nose to the idea of Angel Gomes. Now, the only thing I will say is, on the flip side, if you let someone go, you shouldn't always necessarily like re-sign them. We've seen how it kind of worked out with Paul Pogba. I don't think it turned out the worst with Paul Pogba, but I know a lot of fans were disappointed in comparison to the hype that was surrounding it. The thing is, though, United paid big bucks for Paul Pogba. They don't have to pay big bucks right now for Angel Gomes. So I definitely think Angel Gomes is something that Manchester United should look at. There has been some suggestions that Manchester United are kind of open to the idea of signing him. You look at the midfielders that Manchester United have missed out on in the summer, or haven't pursued because they went after a different type of profile in Manuel Ugarte, and you think, okay, well, if Christian Eriksen leaves, who's going to be the technical type of midfielder? Who's going to be the type of midfielder that is good in possession, good with the ball at his feet? Who's going to be that? Because if Christian Eriksen leaves, it won't be Casemiro and it won't be Ugarte. And that's with the assumption, obviously, that Casemiro stays. But let's actually talk, before we get onto the Antony stuff, before we get onto the Joshua Zirkzee stuff, let's talk about this guy. I briefly touched on it, obviously, at the beginning of the stream. The idea of Javi, let me know what you guys think of it. Now, if you cast your minds back to when Javi kind of joined Barcelona, I remember it was this idea, again, about sentiment, a former player coming back to coach. I know Barcelona fans began to lose their patience with him, but we also saw a lot of players kind of come through with the guidance of Javi. Now, if there was a player, manager, etc., that I would want a player like Kobbie Mainoo to flourish under, it would be a player like Javi. Now, this is just me making the assumption that a good player will be good to coach players in that position. If it kind of makes sense, guys, what I'm saying. That's just my assumption. And we all know that's not necessarily always the case. That's not always the case. But there has been links suggesting that Xavi and INEOS are interested in, Xavi. Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail. Now, this came out yesterday and it's kind of been built on since then. Said that Manchester United had made contacts with Xavi twice in the last 3 months through his team. Also spoke about Ahmad Barada and Manchester United delegation traveling to Barcelona, not necessarily saying per se that they went to go meet him, but this idea that a few weeks ago that they traveled over there and they've been in contact with him. Now, the Muppeteers, I don't know, comes out with information suddenly when other people are releasing information, so take it with a pinch of salt. Said that Javi was a manager that Manchester United spoke to in the summer before they chose to keep Erik ten Hag, but Javi did not reject the job. He just said that he wanted to take 1 year out from management. And that's it. Now, would Javi be on the top of my managerial list? Like, you lot knew in the summer, where I stood in terms of manager. I said my number one manager that I wanted was Nagelsmann. If it wasn't Nagelsmann, it was De Zerbi. However, I've accepted, and it's a hard pill to swallow, but I've accepted that neither of those two will become Manchester United manager. Nagelsmann is happy with his job in Germany, and I don't see De Zerbi leaving Marseille after 1 season. You look at all the other managers that are kind of available, and I watched Stuttgart versus Juve yesterday, guys. I don't know if all of you guys watched it, so let me know if you guys watched Stuttgart versus Juve. Sebastian Hoeneß batted up Thiago Motta, and not in a disrespectful way. I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way, but tactically he got everything spot on. Not just defensively, but even the ability to create chances and creating chances across the game. I think they had like 20 something shots on goal, and they held Juve to like under double digits shots on goal. Now, again, I'm gonna judge Thiago Motta obviously with a pinch of salt because he's still early into his time at Juve. But Sebastian Hoeneß is another manager that Manchester United have been linked to over the last couple of months. And it's obviously there's other managers as well. Ruben Amorim, another one. Sporting won yesterday. And I watched them. I'm not watching them because Man United are linked to them. I've always watched Sporting even before Ruben Amorim was the manager. But I like the job that he's doing in Portugal. Now, there is no confirmation, similar to how I think we've realized it with Ten Hag. If a manager can do it in another league with another club, that essentially they will come to Manchester United and fix all the tactical issues, and they'll fix Manchester United in possession, out possession, etc., etc. There is no guarantee to that. But if these stories are popping up, I don't know. I don't know how Erik Ten Hag, by the way, feels about these stories about Javi popping up, and I think it's a little bit unsettling. But we know the threat that Erik Ten Hag is under his job. We know the threat that is already posed to his job at Manchester United. I feel Javi is another Erik Ten Hag, a good coach, but not Premier League level. They are both good coaches, but Premier League exposes a lot of good coaches compared to other leagues. I mean, you look at other managers in the Premier League per se outside of the top six, and they are good coaches. I think Areola is a good coach. What he's doing with Bournemouth, Thomas Frank. I think Thomas Frank is a decent coach. I think he's a decent coach, but I probably rate Areola a lot higher than I rate Thomas Frank. I don't know if that's a hot take or if that's a controversial take, but does that mean I would take those managers at Manchester United? Not necessarily. But also equally, who am I to turn my nose up at managers who have schooled Erik Ten Hag in the Premier League? I can't really do that. But I understand this sentiment. They do have similar playing styles, but I just feel like Erik Ten Hag is a lot more, I don't want to say stubborn. I don't want to use the term stubborn, but Erik Ten Hag, to me, the vibe that I get is that he's adamant something's going to work. Like, if he theoretically, the theory might be great, but in practice, it's not necessarily the case. So this is, for example, and this is applicable to whatever job you lot work in, whatever you studied in university. You can have all the knowledge of your degree, yeah? But if you cannot apply it successfully, then it's shit. The theory that you have is nonsense. As a doctor, for example, you can have all the doctor knowledge, you can have all the medical knowledge, but if you cannot apply it in a workplace and apply it effectively, it's pointless. All that knowledge you have is really, really pointless. So that's how I feel with Erik Ten Hag's system. I feel like Erik Ten Hag's system on paper, there's a TikTok sound that says you got the right idea, but the wrong. That's how I feel about Erik Ten Hag's system. I think his system, he's got the right idea, but the implementation of it and the use of it in a practical system is not ideal. And when you can't tweak it, because it requires 100% perfection to be successful, then it's a flawed system. And I think with Javi, in comparison to that, I look at Javi and I think he's got his style of football. He can implement it, but he can also tweak it if necessarily. And additionally, I don't think his time at Barcelona was heavily reliant on one player to kind of feed the system. Because when we talk about Erik Ten Hag, or when Erik Ten Hag speaks about his style of play and he speaks about the way that he wants Man United to play, he always kind of emphasized the importance of a Frenkie de Jong or Licha, for example. Big up to Captain, says, big up Mina, Captain. I can't say that. New subscriber to your channel. I appreciate it, man. Welcome to the community. I really appreciate it. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button if you've just come through, and be sure to subscribe as well. Big up to Abdul as well. Says, big up Bolashe Mina. Big up, brother. I hope you're doing well. OJ says, I think Javi plays a similar system to Erik Ten Hag. The only difference is Erik Ten Hag has more experience, but Javi has the personality and is more charismatic than Erik Ten Hag. I think charisma goes a long way in any workplace. They always say you can be great at your job, but you have to be likable to kind of be successful. I think that is what kind of, you look at Oli, for example, and you look at Erik Ten Hag. Do you guys see the difference in how people react to what Oli might say? I think further into his time at Manchester United, as things got a bit more toxic, Oli became a bit more unbearable. But I feel like because of Oli's character and his charisma and his personality, he was a lot more likable. And that's unfortunate. But in all work environments and establishments, I think most places, you can have all the knowledge in your head, but if you are not a likable person and you've not got personality, you know what? Yeah, I got an uncle, right? One of the smartest uncles that I have. Yeah, very smart. He's a diplomat. But he has no personality. He's a great guy. I love him to bits. He's a diplomat. has many degrees. He's one of the smartest people that I actually know. But like, I can't hold a conversation with him. Like, my conversations with him is like 2 sentences. That's it, because he's scary. He's really, really scary. I'm scared of him. But he's a great guy. He's a really great guy. And I just think it's the same as that. Like, I don't know what he's like in his work environment. He had a very successful career. He's retired now. So he must have had charisma and personality in workplace. Maybe it's with family. Maybe he's like that with family only. Maybe I'm the problem. I don't know. Minna, have you got charisma? I would like to think, you know, for someone who's on camera a lot and who does a lot of like presenting stuff, I would like to think I've got personality. Eric Ten Hag's system is almost like that of Arsenal, not necessarily similar, but Arsenal's system, it requires a specific type of player to work. As soon as you remove Saka and Odegaard, the system looks dead. I think one of the one of the issues with Arsenal, I think obviously they're missing Saka, and they're missing Odegaard, but that striker issue they have is crazy to me. I don't think Javi is as bad as some people made him seem, and he did manage to win the league despite Barcelona being in a crisis a few years ago. I agree. And the funny thing is, right, people who don't want Javi at Manchester United right now, people are downplaying him winning the league by saying Real Madrid were crap. Imagine that. They're downplaying the league that he won by saying in that year Real Madrid were crap. Now, I don't want to lie. Let me see the last time that they won it was, what year was it that they won it? 2022-23 season. And if I'm not wrong, that is the year that Real Madrid won the Champions League. Am I wrong? No, I am wrong. I am actually wrong. What year was it that Real Madrid when Benzema won it the year before? Yeah, it was the year before. Bad maths from me, guys. That was really, really poor maths from me. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Mino, didn't Javi leave Barca because of criticisms? Isn't it worse at Man United? I don't think he left Barca because of criticisms. I think, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream, I think it was more so to do with the way that it was dealt with in the public eye. Now, if you not remember how everything unfolded between Javi, Deco, and their president in the public eye, not behind closed doors? He came out and said he was leaving. Or they came out and said he was leaving. Then a bit later, he came back and said, actually, he's staying. He said he was staying. And then he came out and said, actually, no, I'm going to leave. So clearly something unfolded between the executives at Barcelona that run the show and him. I don't think we'll ever be that privy to know, unfortunately. I don't think we'll ever be able to know. But I don't necessarily think he left because of the criticisms at Barcelona. I don't think that's the reason why. And you know what? Barcelona, I think, replaced him very well with Hansi Flick. Like, I think Hansi Flick is an amazing manager. So the fact that they were able to get a new manager quite quickly in to replace him, they done their job. They actually done their job. Mina, do you agree? If we get Javi, we might not be better than the top 6, but very sure we won't get battered by mid-table and bottom teams. It's as clear as day. Eric Ten Hag won't work. Man United have a top 4 team. Like, this idea that Manchester United cannot compete with top 6, I don't think United can win the league. I don't think Man United can win the league. Not yet, anyway. But on paper, you guys cannot tell me that Manchester United do not have a team that should be in the top 4. And if you genuinely think that Man United don't have a team that should be in the top 4, then I need to know what you guys are on. Because I look at Man United's team, when fit, and let's be honest, right now, Man United don't have everyone available. But in the early stages of the season, August, September, they had a lot of players available. They should have been beating Brighton. They should have been at least putting up a fight against Liverpool. They should have been able to beat Crystal Palace. Manchester United should have been able to beat FC20. They should have been able to do all of that. This idea that United can't really be better than all of the top 6, I don't agree with that. I don't really agree with that. Javi, he's good for us. We are tired of this man. How many players he brought in for us? Yeah, Hamza is not happy. Big up to Mohammed. I think Mohammed is actually a Barcelona fan as well. Says, long story short, Laporta didn't like some of the stuff he told the media. Okay. Fair enough. OJ says it was a shit show. He wanted to leave. Board wanted him to stay. Players convinced him to stay. He decided to stay. The board turned around and said, yeah, actually, you got to go. Yeah, it was a shit show. All I remember, it was just a lot of he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out, he shakes it all about, you do the hokey pokey. Like, it was just nonsense. It was just a lot of miscommunication, I think. So it was better for me, I think, my opinion, it was better for him to leave that situation, because if you're saying that you're staying, but then they're telling the media you're leaving after players have begged you to stay, just go where you're valued. And that's applicable to everything in life, guys. Go where you're valued. But this is something we'll keep an eye on. Now, the only way that the thing that I think will tip the scales in Xavi's favor is the fact that if Manchester United choose to get him, even if it's at the end of the season, guys, because I think he's been clear that he only wants he wants at least a 1 year break from football. And by then, it will be 1 year. So the only way that I see him to understand, the way that I see it, and the way that I'm going to predict it, is that if they choose to go for a manager, I think the scales are tipped in Xavi's favor because of the fact that INEOS seem like cost-cutting brains. Like they put a hat on and they're trying to cut costs in the best way that they can. They don't want to go and sign Ruben Amorim, who they know that they will have to pay a fee for. They might not want Sebastian Hoeneß because they have to pay 14, 15 million, maybe potentially, to release him. Same for Ruben Amorim, etc. A manager like Javi, or a manager like Graham Potter or Thomas Tuchel, someone who's unemployed right now, it works for them financially. Now, I don't think Man United or INEOS in particular should make decisions solely based on if it makes sense for them financially. I would rather they make decisions because it makes sense for what they're trying to build and they deal with the financial implications of it. Now, you saw what happened when they wanted that INEOS wanted Dan Ashworth. They literally encouraged Dan Ashworth to take Newcastle to court and offered to pay his legal fees so that they don't have to pay a big, 20 million that Newcastle were asking for or something. So clearly when INEOS are devoted to an idea, they will find a way around it. This news about Xavi, I only think, I'm not going to lie, you don't know how media works. You know how the press works, especially with Manchester United and Erik ten Hag. You know it gets clicks. You know it. Everyone's talking about it. We're sitting here right now talking about it. But the only way I see this news kind of dying down a little bit about the manager stuff is if Manchester United go on to win games. The more Erik ten Hag gets results, the less we will hear about managers that Manchester United might be flirting with, if you want to call it that, because it's starting with Javi, but you don't know who's going to come out next. You don't know if it could be Ruben Amorim next. We really don't know who it could be next. So that's all I see now. Out of everyone that Manchester United have been linked to thus far, I'd put Xavi second. I'd put Xavi second. I don't want to say who the manager I want is, but if news comes out that United are looking at him as a manager, then I will tell you guys this is the guy that I want. But just know that Xavi, I would probably put number 2. Big up to Lil Yo, says, I don't know about Xavi still. Lil Yo. I'm not going to talk too much. But you know what I'm laughing at, and you actually flipping kill me. Big up to Lil Yo. OJ says, honestly, Javi would be a good manager. Yeah, I think he would be a good manager. I think he would bring us consistency, which is something we do not have. Also, his system, although his system is similar to Erik ten Hag, it's more sustainable. I hear it. Mina wants Sean Dyche. Come on. I mean, Sean Dyche he's getting the job done for everything. I'm joking. Big up Minna, big up Overhead Kick, says Xavi would be a good fit though. I feel like a lot of people are leaning towards this idea of Xavi. I think I've seen, let's put it like this, for the kickback that I saw about a manager like Southgate, I'm definitely seeing a lot less Xavi. I feel like even Thomas Tuchel, I feel like the fan base was split. I actually feel like the fan base was quite split on the idea of Thomas Tuchel. But with Xavi, I don't know. Maybe also, I'm not going to lie, guys. People hear the name Xavi and they think, because he was such a great footballer, he will be a great manager. You look at managers, players who are good managers. You look at Xabi Alonso, etc., etc. He's a good manager right now. So a part of me also thinks people look at that and the fact that obviously he won La Liga with Barcelona, and La Liga is it's no easy thing. When was the last time that they had won it consistently? They were struggling before he joined. They were struggling, and he was able to deliver La Liga. Of course, they had that run as well in Champions League and Europa League, which wasn't that successful, but he's not the worst manager. I don't know how this idea of him being a horrible manager is there. I mean, you seem too minded about Erik ten Hag, regardless of what happens this season. Are you ten Hag in or out? I thought I was very clear on where I stood. I don't like the whole, are you in or you out? But I don't want Erik ten Hag to be the Man United manager. So that technically makes me ten Hag out. I'm not convinced everything that he's done over the last 2.5 seasons. And if you not go watch back the stream that I did with Marcel yesterday, you'll see it. You'll see us talking about it. So go check that out as well. Let's see. Let's try and get the likes up, guys. Let's try and get the likes up. If you want to join the membership club, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content, and of course, you get to support the growth of the channel, the ever-growing channel. We're not that far off, less than 100 away from 7K. So if you're new here, please do subscribe. And make sure you lot share with your friends. Tell them, go check out this channel. Make sure you lot subscribe. I got a big announcement coming in the next week, or by the end of the week, maybe. So make sure you subscribe. So when I go live and I announce it, you guys are here. And if you want to support the channel in other ways outside of subscribing, liking, memberships, etc., you can send in super chats with your comments, with your questions, with your thoughts, or you can just send in super chats to show some love. Let's get on to the next things. Let's get on the next couple of things. Before we get to the Fenerbahce game, let's get to the news. I don't know. Where the hell has this come from? Where the hell is this news about Joshua Zirkzee wanting to leave Manchester United? Like, is the media being serious, or is there actually some truth to it? Because it's being reported, or it's being suggested, that he wants to return to Italy and he's unsettled in England, especially with being in and out of the Manchester United starting lineup, and he hasn't really found his foot, particularly, I think, in games that I can think of. The Fulham game, he came on, had straight impact. Crystal Palace game, unjustly was subbed off. But outside of that, I can't really put my finger on a lot of other games that he's had that has been a standout kind of performance for me. Now, I think unfortunately for him, he just needs games. But I think Erik ten Hag's preference is Rasmus Højlund. Now, I actually think signing Joshua Zirkzee was probably an error that INEOS made. Now, I don't think he's a bad player, but I don't think when you need goals, necessarily that you go for Joshua Zirkzee. I feel like Joshua Zirkzee is the final piece to your front line once you have everything else pieced together. Whereas right now, they're trying to fit him in and they're still trying to fit in other pieces of the puzzle. He's that last piece. You know, when you're playing, when you're doing a puzzle and you find the final piece under the box of the puzzle box, and you're like, oh, this is the final piece. Yeah, bam, puzzle's complete. I think that's what Joshua Zirkzee is for the front line. Another thing about Joshua Zirkzee, I think he plays his best from what I've watched at Bologna when we were signing him, and what I've seen of him at United so far, and just his profile. I think if you've got goal-scoring wingers, Joshua Zirkzee is your guy. Because you look at anybody that has traditionally played in that 9.5. And the other day I was saying that historically Manchester United don't have these kind of players. And someone said to me, oh, but United had Berbatov. Berbatov wasn't the main kind of 9. He wasn't the main 9. Look who he was playing with. Look at the players that he was playing with out wide and in the front line when Berbatov was playing. And of course, Berbatov had I think he had one of the best first touch at Manchester United. And also, he could strike the ball. Berbatov could score. He could do everything else, but he could also score. Joshua Zirkzee has been struggling in front of goal in terms of how many chances he's had. There's some chances that have landed to him, and I think Højlund puts that away. Like, he doesn't have a striker instinct, but that's not his fault. That's not his fault. INEOS were the ones that decided to sign him. And I think, who else was he linked to? He was linked to AC Milan. I don't know if he would have been the savior for AC Milan. But it wouldn't have been a huge jump to go from playing at Bologna to going to playing in the Premier League, from Serie A to Premier League. That's a big jump. Then you're coming into a team where they still haven't figured out how to best use you. If Marcus Rashford and Garnacho are firing and they're making runs in behind, a player like Zirkzee works in the starting 11. But you've got Garnacho playing left, right, wherever, and you have Marcus Rashford, who's not playing traditionally how he played as an inside forward. He's playing a lot more deeper. hugging the touchline. Joshua Zirkzee ain't going to work with that. Berbatov still won the Premier League Golden Boot in 2011. Facts. Zirkzee is an INEOS signing. Ten Hag wanted Tony slash Brian Brobby. Oh my God, don't remind me about the Brian Brobby links. I do think Zirkzee can improve his game and get goals. The system hasn't helped him at all. And this is the thing with the Erik Ten Hag way of football, or the way that he wants the team to play. I actually think it's either sink or swim for most players. It's either you sink, and when you sink, you're going to sink rock bottom to the bottom of the pool, yeah? Or you'll swim and you'll just about be able to float. But you won't be Michael Phelps swimming through the pool. You'll just be able to float and keep your head above water. And I think that's another flaw in what I see with this system. Zirkzee is a good player. I think right now Erik Ten Hag is in no position to settle Zirkzee in because his job is on the line. He can't wait for the likes of Zirkzee to click because everything needs to happen right now. Zirkzee would work better with Ahmad, the pass and go kind of thing. I mean, there was little moments that we saw Ahmad, Mazraoui, Kobbie, Zirkzee playing together, and they would kind of shift to the right-hand side of the pitch and they would play well together. The thing is, Zirkzee, like Ahmad, like Kobbie, like Mazraoui, they are not players that traditionally in their profile and the way that they play, they do not need a lot of touches on the ball. Jadon Sancho, another one, for example. These are not players that need to have the ball at their feet and have a lot of touches before they can release it. They can do one touch, two touch passing football. And we saw that. I don't know if you guys remember. There's a few games I can think of this season where the four of them have been on that kind of right-hand side of the pitch and they've been able to link up well and pass well. However, that's not what's gonna get you the goals. That's not putting the ball in the back of the net all the time necessarily. Not having a style of play in your third season is haram. Everyone's just been calling everything haram nowadays. It's crazy. Zirkzee's a good player. I like his mentality. Sometimes we have to see how things go. Because I remember when Pep brought Doku, he was the player who he was not good enough playing City, but see now. Doku is an interesting one. Look at Jack Grealish, for example. That Jack Grealish is an example of a player that you coach them out of their style and you coach them into a a system, and they lose everything that they have. And this actually goes back to, I feel like if Joshua Zirkzee was in a more exciting team that had exciting wingers and people that could get forward and create something and get goal, I think a lot of the things that Joshua Zirkzee does, we would be like, wow, look at what he's doing, round of applause. Like, we would be moved by it, but we're not necessarily. We are not. But that's unfortunate because he's a profile that just doesn't fit the system that he was brought into. And he's similar to other players. Like I said this with Ahmad this season. When Ahmad was coming into United this season off the back of last season and his loan spell, I said the worst thing that could happen to Ahmad is that he's coached out of what makes him as a player for the sake of the system. And I thought that about Kobbie Mainoo. I feel like what we praised Kobbie Mainoo for last season at Manchester United, this season I'm not seeing it. I'm not really seeing it. And this season is, let's be honest, guys, Kobbie, and the reason why I'm not harsh on Kobbie, I'm not hard on him, I don't heavily criticize him, is because I know that this system is making him look horrendous. Because it's essentially taking every talent out of him. It's like, what it reminds me of, guys? Have you watched Like Mike? Have any of you guys watched Like Mike? That was my favorite childhood movie. Yeah? The magic shoes when Bow Wow puts them on and he turns into Michael Jordan on the court. That's how I feel like it is with systems in football. Players will be playing with their shoes. Suddenly they put on the system shoe and they just lose everything. They just lose all the talent that they have because now they are forced to fit into a box when they shouldn't be. Like Mike, classic. Honestly, one of my favorite films growing up, man. I had that on VCR. I used to watch it all the time. That system is not forgiven for any player. You have to be at your absolute best or you are drowning. So players like Zirkzee or Garte are struggling. Hence, you never know what United you're going to get. That's facts. And that's why I said a system that requires 100% perfection is a flawed system. It's as simple as that, because there's nothing like, guys, again, I don't know why I keep referencing work, but you go to work every day, guys, yeah? You're not going to have a 100% day every single day. Sometimes good, sometimes shit. I get ready for streams. I do a stream. I'm not going to have a 100% good stream every single day. But My streams don't require 100% perfection for me to feel like I've achieved something. I don't need thousands and thousands of views to feel like I've achieved something. I'm good talking to 5-10 people. I'm okay with that. The same with in a work environment. You are not going to be perfect at work every single day. But if your system required you to be perfect every single day, that's going to be scary, because one margin of error and everything falls down. I feel like there's some work environments that might require near enough perfection, like the medical field, especially like surgeons and that kind of stuff. Like, I love the concept, like the concept of surgery, guys, always fascinates me, because you're laying down on a table. I know this is so sidetracked here, but you're laying down on a table, unconscious. You're not even flipping awake, yeah? And you trust someone to open up your body and do stuff to your body and then close it up again. Like, again, that's something that probably requires 100% perfection. So if there's any system that I could say requires 100% perfection, is anyone that works in the medical field. There's not, the margin of error is minimal. But in football is not always perfection. You will have ups, you will have downs. And if you cannot adjust to it in game, then that's where the big issues kind of lie. And you'll see players like Zirkzee drown. You'll see a player like Ugarte and Zirkzee, for me, is two different types of players that came in the transfer window. And I'm looking at that thinking, what the hell? You don't remember June, July, August, I was doing daily streams, transfer streams every single day, and I was saying signing Ugarte does not make any sense if we sign Zirkzee for this system, because what the hell is the system if you're signing a destroyer in one and someone that retains possession in the other? It doesn't make sense, because if you're signing someone that is essentially a destroyer and they're just known to disrupt and destroy and all of that kind of stuff, then that is clearly you signing a player expecting for a very transitional game. But if you're signing a player like Joshua Zirkzee, are you not then signing a player with the expectation that you're going to dominate possession? You want someone that's going to always have possession, hold possession. You want to start in 11 that's going to be able to take care of the ball and dominate the game. Like, look at Manchester City, for example, right? They dominate possession 99% of the time when they play against people. Yeah. They all have players that can pass the ball non-stop. Rodri, even though he's out with an ACL injury, best DM in Europe right now, or has been the best DM, but he's a player that is good on the ball. He is good with the ball at his feet. You sign a player that might not necessarily be good with the ball at their feet, and then you sign a player that's good with the ball at their feet. It doesn't make sense. It actually doesn't make sense. Ugarte was an INEOS signing too. No, I don't remember him being an Erik ten Hag target, more like an option. I think he was an INEOS signing. I don't think Erik ten Hag wants him. I still think Erik ten Hag does not want him, even right now this season. I don't think Erik ten Hag wants him. And I think Erik ten Hag has been very clear in the fact that the guy barely plays in the Premier League. And when he has played in the Premier League, Erik ten Hag said he needs to learn the league, and then threw him into the Spurs game. Do you know how that's actually sad? That's low-key a bit sad that you think he's not ready for the Premier League, and then Spurs at home, biggest game of the month, you're like, okay, you're ready now, and then you bench him next Premier League game. Like, come on. And by the way, Ugarte is probably going to play this week against Fenerbahce, because United only got 3 midfielders traveling, and we're going to get to that. We're actually going to get to that point quickly. Why would you want Ten Hag signings? So many haven't worked. You know what? It's actually easier to say which Ten Hag signings have worked rather than to say which Ten Hag signings haven't worked. Because I'm being very honest, guys. What Ten Hag signings do you genuinely think? Lenny Yoro, I'm not going to speak on because he hasn't really played. And also, I think he was an INEOS signing. So if we were to think of the players that Man United signed before INEOS took over, you guys tell me one that has purely been 100% hit rate. Because I think with Lisandro Martinez, since that injury in his first season, he's not been the same. So even he's not 100%. He's not a 100% hit rate for me. He's not. And then you look at the players that United have spent big bucks on. No one really. Rasmus Højlund, yeah, he's been okay. No one's been a 100%. If you look at every top 6 team, all the DMs are good in possession. Partey, Rice, Rodri, Lavia, Caicedo, Gravenberch, Onana, Basuma, Bentancur were the only ones who went south. I like Lavia, man. I watched guys watching Lavia on the weekend against Liverpool. That's his first game back in a year, I think it is. I think he's only played a couple games for Chelsea anyways, but first game back against Liverpool at Anfield, and you boss it for the 50-ish minutes that you played. He was the best midfielder on the pitch. Lavia was actually the best midfielder on the pitch. Mazraoui and De Ligt are most successful, which is insane. Maybe Onana. Even Mazraoui, De Ligt, the sample size, I think, is too small. I think the sample size is too small. That's why I can't really go off players that we've signed this season yet, because I don't think we've really reaped the benefits. Onana, I wouldn't say, if we talk about Andre Onana, I wouldn't say he's been 100% successful. He literally, let's not forget what happened last season. Let's not forget that. This season, I think Onana has been one of Man United's better players, because I think he has saved us some points in some games. Can we not hijack Chelsea? They have too many CDMs that would improve us. Wishful thinking, man. Absolutely wishful thinking. It's crazy, though, because you had midfielders. Man United have had options to sign multiple. Bobakar Kamara at Aston Villa, yeah? Before Gerrard signed him on a free, he was available in that summer that Erik ten Hag came in. Yeah, he was available. Amadou Onana, another midfielder. Manchester United reportedly put in a late bid for him when he already accepted the terms with Aston Villa, and he wanted to keep his word to Aston Villa. Another player that kind of they could have gone and signed. There's so many players that Manchester United could have signed in that midfield that would have immediately increased, I think, the output from the midfield. There's no way you can have someone sitting as the anchor of the midfield and they're not good on the ball. For me, that is remotely impossible. I don't care how many tackles you win, how many duels you win. It's illegal for you to be the anchor of the midfield and be shit on the ball. You might as well let me play there. I'm better on the ball. I'll be good on the ball. I'm a good midfielder. Even Tielemans would have improved us. He was free, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, Tielemans was available on a free as well. He was available on a free. I'm glad we didn't get Lavia, a good player, but he's never available. Has that Mason Mount body. Another midfielder that we forgot about, Mason Mount. Mason Mount. Do you see how tall Sekou Kone is? He was pictured next to Zirkzee. He's like 6'3". Yeah, I think he's 6'4" or nearly 6'4", if I'm not wrong. He's really tall, but he needs to bulk up. But then again, if you're good on the ball, bro, you don't have to be strong, because you will just literally glide past players. They won't be able to get back to what I said about Bernardo Silva. You'll be able to glide past people. I don't think Sekou Kone is going to play immediately for Manchester United, personally. I don't think he's going to play immediately, but I like the idea of him being around the first team. He's training with them this week. I like that idea. I think it's important for him to be around the first team. And also, Manchester United are not going to rush the involvement of him. They're not going to rush it, because he's taking English classes, guys. He's learning English, adapting to the culture in England. And equally so, hasn't really played much since, because when in the summer, it was pre-season. So he didn't really play much. By the time he joined United, it wasn't ratified for quite some time. Only now, he was training with the academy, but he hasn't played match football. But I'm not joking, guys. If the rumors are true and he's going to wear number 42 for Man United, I might come out of retirement and buy a Man United shirt. But you don't know I'm jinxed. You know I'm jinxed. If I buy a player's shirt, that player's that player's career at Manchester United is going to go downhill. So maybe I should stay away from him, because I've stayed away from Kobbie Mainoo for this long. I haven't brought a Kobbie Mainoo shirt for the last 2 seasons. I actually haven't got any shirt that says a Man United player's name on it. I haven't even put my own name on it. I just get it blank. But Sekou Kone, if he's really going to play with number 42 Kone on the back looks sick. I can't lie, guys. Please don't. Why? Come on, man. Please let me, guys. Please let me. Another player that we're going to actually briefly chat about, Antony. So the news, by the way, guys, of Antony has slowly started to pick up a bit of pace, which is why I think that there's something to it. I think there's something to it. Now, some Premier League teams reportedly have approached Manchester United about the availability of Antony in January. United have given the green light to let him go on loan, want him to stay in Europe to try and recoup some of that investment. He's also been linked to teams in Italy as well as Turkey. So that's what we know so far. Now, do you guys think it's a bit risky letting another player leave if you're not going to replace them? Now, I'm not saying, it's a big gap that United have to fill with the absence of Antony if he leaves. But if you're telling me it's only Ahmad, Garnacho, and Marcus Rashford available out wide, yo, that's scary. That's scary. Now, given Garnacho's track record of being fit, Rashford is relatively fit, Ahmad is relatively fit of recent, I wouldn't be too worried. However, we have to buy a winger. Like, and I'm going to contradict myself because I said I don't see United signing anyone in January. I don't really see it happening. Now, the best thing Antony can do is leave. Like, honestly, that's the best thing he can do. If Manchester United could get like £1 in return for what they paid for him, that's a job well done. Put the pound in your pocket and keep it moving. I just feel like Antony is never going to want to leave Manchester United because he left Ajax. He pushed a move for Manchester United, sat out of preseason, forced the move to Manchester United because he was going from 20k a week to 220k. Guys, if I was getting a 200k pay rise today, I will go wherever the hell the club wants me to go. You want me to go play football in Antarctica? I'll go play football in Antarctica. If you're paying me 200k more a week, I will absolutely do it. So I don't see why Antony would probably want to leave Manchester United. He's probably thinking, Premier League, best league in the world, one of the best. If people, people don't always like to say it, but Premier League, best league. Manchester United, greatest English club. I can live in Manchester. It rains a lot, but I'm making 200k a week. If I was making 200k a week, guys, put me in the coldest place in the world. I don't give a shit. No, honestly, I don't care. Put me in the coldest place in the world. And guys, one thing you're gonna learn about me as winter approaches, I hate the cold. I'm African, guys. I'm African. Our body just knows heat. That's it. But I will be willing to go to the coldest place on earth. Yeah, if you pay me 200k a week, absolutely. This is business, facts. It's business, pure money, bro. Pure money. Alanga, Dan James, Antony, in that order. They're clear of Antony. Do you not remember what Marcel said yesterday on the stream? If you don't remember, we were talking about transfers in January. If there was anyone United should go out and sign, and he said that Manchester United should sign Dan James. Like, I actually nearly dropped out of my chair. When he said Dan James. Because I thought, what? As if we ain't got a problem. We've got Dan James at home. No disrespect, but we've got him at home in the form of Antony. Now, if Antony does leave, cool. It's a long time overdue, I think. I think it's about a season overdue. But Manchester United cannot, as an institution, fail by leaving that wing side or the wingers very light. If you want to say that. I don't want to see Bruno at right-hand side. I don't want to see that. Big up to Brian with the super chat. Says Mudryk Antony. There's like two homeless people scrapping. Like, how you say? That is like the blind leading the blind. It's two sides of the same coin. Big up Brian, man. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Abe says I genuinely would just play him left wing back before selling. This experiment of him at defense, guys, he literally nearly sabotaged us against Liverpool when he was told to go left back. Are you guys forgetting the tantrum that he had on the pitch when he was told to go left back? I think it was 2 games that he was told to go left back. Liverpool in quarterfinals of the FA Cup and another game shortly after that. And he had a tantrum. He literally threw his toys out of the pram. And apparently I remember after the season ended, when the Athletic did their big dossier on Manchester United, and they said that after that game, Erik ten Hag had a bollocking in the dressing room and made an example of Antony for turning basically for basically kicking up a fuss about going at left back. And unfortunately, I think he's just not going to be a good left back. Like, I don't know where this idea of him becoming a left back, because always everyone says, oh, look at Saka, used to be a left back, now he's a right winger. He couldn't lace Saka's boots. So this experiment, we need to let these experiments go. Like, you know what? I don't mind it if it's last option, only option you got. We have to play him. I don't mind that. That don't bother me. But if you're telling me that he is so crap at right wing, you think he can play left back? No, it doesn't work like that, guys. I don't think so anyway. I've seen him kick Doku once and it clicked. Oh man, he got batted up by Tyreek Mitchell at Palace. That's all I gotta say. So Saka played left back, then went to right wing. Yeah, people want him to do the reverse. Yeah, they literally want him to do the reverse of that. Let's actually get on to the Fenerbahce game because there's about 30 minutes left of the Champions League. It's Barcelona versus Bayern Munich. Who else is playing? And I need to have dinner as well. Let's see. Oh my God, Bayer Leverkusen are drawing. Bayer Leverkusen are drawing, and Javi Alonso is going to leave them as well this summer. Let's see if there's other. Oh, Leipzig versus Liverpool. That might be a good game. Lukaba's playing. I might have to go watch. And Haidara. Ooh, I'm gonna watch that game. I'm gonna watch Bayern Munich versus Barcelona as well. Normally I watch 2 games at the same time, so it'll probably be those 2. But let's get on to the Fenerbahce game tomorrow as well, and be sure to hit the like button if you've just come through. Erik ten Hag, the crop of players that he has, it's not the best, guys. It is not the best options. I'm not gonna lie. Now, defensively, Man United are stacked. Up front or forward options, Man United are stacked. But the midfield, guys, is looking dehydrated. It's fasting. Our midfield is fasting. It's Ramadan for them because we got 3 midfielders, guys. Do you know that actually blows my mind? That actually blows my mind. That Manchester United are walking or taking a plane to Turkey, and they've only got 3 midfielders on the pitch or available, which means the 3 that start the game, I don't know what the hell's going to happen after. Like, maybe Licha might go in the mid. I don't know. But Christian Eriksen, Manuel Ugarte, and Casemiro, the only midfielders that Manchester United have at all. They're not even one academy midfielder. No, Toby Collier. Where's Toby Collier gone? Where's Toby Collier, by the way, guys? Where is Toby Collier? I just realized he ain't really been involved yet. There is some first timers in the squad, so we're gonna go through the squad quickly. Altay Bayinda, I bet he's happy to go back to Turkey. He's probably thinking, "Yep, I'm gonna have bare baklava whilst I'm there." Oh, baklava slaps. It actually slaps. That's probably like I'll say that's my 3rd favorite dessert. I don't know why I'm talking about baklava. You know what? Tomorrow, I'm actually gonna get some baklava when I'm watching the game. I'm gonna get some baklava and I'm gonna eat it. For every shot Man United miss, I'm gonna eat 1 piece of baklava. So if I go into a diabetic arrest by the end of the game, you guys know what caused it. But I'm actually gonna get baklava, guys. Manchester United technically without 10 players tomorrow night. Euro, Maguire, Evans, Shaw, Malacia. Take Shaw out of that list. Shaw, Malacia, Maino, Mount, Collier, Gore injured, not fit enough, while Fernandez is suspended. So in goalkeeper, Altay Bayinda, Tom Heaton, Andre Onana. I wish I had Tom Heaton's job, guys. I actually wish I had Tom Heaton. He gets to travel, doesn't really have to play football, gets paid, gets to go into Carrington every day, gets free food in the canteen, breakfast, lunch, gets a warm shower every day. Doesn't have to do like Tom Heaton is living my dream. I'm not even joking. Tiramisu clears. Tiramisu is one of the worst desserts ever. Like, honestly, it's this tiramisu. It is disgusting. Number 1 dessert, guys, is milk cake. Lotus Biscoff milk cake. I can eat a whole tray by myself. Number 2 is a traditional dessert. Where I'm from, I'm not saying this. It's sweet. It is a dessert technically. It's called halwa. Yeah. If you're Bengali and that, I think halwa is a thing in you lot's countries as well. If you're from if you're from East Africa, etc. I think you lot should be familiar with that as well. Number 3, I'm actually being baklava number 3. Yeah, I'll put baklava number 3. Someone said red velvet is underrated. It is. Yeah, red velvet is nice. Tiramisu is terrible. Honestly, I don't know who thought putting coffee in a dessert was a good idea. Who thought? The Italians. Yeah, you can never trust the Italians, guys. No disrespect to my Italian people, but you can't trust. If you put coffee, next you're going to tell me you're putting tea bag in cake. That's disgusting. Date cake. Nah, I don't really like date cake, I don't really like date cake. I can make a nice date cake. I like the caramel sauce that it comes with, but I don't really like date cake because I don't really like I don't really like dates. But yeah, that's my top 3. That's my top 3 desserts. And now I'm actually jam roly-poly with custard. Brother, what the hell is jam roly-poly? I need to Google this. Hold on. Jam roly-poly. Nah. That reminds me of high school. That's the kind of cakes that I used to have in high school. Oh, you know what? You slaps as well. It has to be homemade as well. You know the sprinkle cake. If you went to primary school in the UK, you know about sprinkle cake. And everybody was making it in lockdown. If you remember the first lockdown, everyone and their mom. I went to Asda, Tesco. I was trying to buy bacon ingredients. I could never find sprinkles because everybody was making sprinkle cake. That is basically a basic sponge cake with icing on top and sprinkles covered in custard. Guys, melt. You have to put it in the microwave as well. The custard has to be warm. Yeah, I'm East African. Don't ever serve me a cold custard. Don't ever do that. Fairy cake. Yeah, it's basically fairy cake. They do it in Greg's as well, but without the sprinkles. They do it. Banana bread. Banana bread. Clear of them all. Brother, like you. Why are you putting coffee in dessert? Why the hell are you putting banana in flipping bread? It's bread. How is that even a dessert? How can bread be a dessert? That doesn't make sense. I don't like things, by the way, like that have fruit in that. In like apple crumble, I don't like apple crumble. Carrot cake, don't like carrot cake. There's this cake that my auntie used to make. One of my aunties, yeah, she's quite old now, so she doesn't really bake much. But she was one of the best bakers when I was a kid. Every like 2 weeks, she'd bake me a cake, tell me to come pick it up from her house. And the last time she made me a cake was for my 16th birthday, and I actually saw her recently, and she said to me, I'm going to make a cake for your next birthday because it's your milestone birthday. So I said, listen, you have to make it exactly how I used to like it. And it's got like peanuts in it and it's soft. That cake is the only thing that I can say, you know what, you can put something in it and I'll eat it. But banana, carrot, dates, coffee, next you lot are telling me flipping, I don't know, you put bell peppers in. Is there such a thing, putting bell peppers in cakes? Because then you lot are telling me you eat that. Apple crumble and carrot cake with custard are clear. Minutes of fruit racist. I love fruit by itself. Fruit's there to be eaten by itself or with food, depending on what you're eating. But on the topic of fruit, guys, what is the best fruit? I think for me, mango is the best fruit. For me, it's mango, watermelon. Yeah, and then everything else after that. I love fresh cookie dough with ice cream scooped on it. You know what? Pizza Hut. I'm boycotting them, but Pizza Hut, they used to do a nice cookie dough. Lychee. Oh, we got a bougie person in the chat. We got a bougie person. We are not the same tax bracket because bro said lychee. I ain't never eaten it as a fruit. I've only drank it as a drink. Watermelon and mangoes. This is how you know Lil Yo is black. Shout out to anyone that likes watermelon, mango, strawberry. Best free fruits. Banana is nice, but I don't really like eat banana by itself. Same like oranges. You have to go through. I go through phases when it comes to fruits. You know, when you're just obsessed with one fruit. Obviously, I just came back from Far East Asia, so watermelon is my obsession right now. Because I had the best watermelons when I was there. When I was in Malaysia, I had a yellow watermelon out of this world. Raspberries and blueberries. I don't like the texture of blueberries. You know what? It feels like it feels like a 90s jacket. Like that's the only way I can describe it. Blueberries feels like the inside of a 90s jacket. Like, you know, the jackets with fur that people used to wear back in the day? That's the inside of the jacket. That's what it feels like. That's why I don't really like blueberries. Mango and watermelon, elite. Are we saying plantain is a fruit? Is plantain a fruit? I don't know. I don't know if it's a fruit. No, that's so specific. Yeah, I'm weird like that. I'm so weird like that. Blueberries are super healthy. Only reason I eat them. I hear it. Okay. I hear it. Okay, all right. Let's get back. Actually, let's quickly get back. Before I need to wrap up the stream, let's get back to Manchester United talk. Man United, outside of their midfield, in their back line, they're quite stacked. They took quite a few fullbacks, including Harry Amas finally gets the nod to travel with Manchester United. And I call him Habib because I can't pronounce his surname. So if there is anyone of West African descent in the chat that can tell me how you pronounce this, Ogunai? I don't know. I might have said it wrong. I call him Habib because that's his first name. But if someone can spell it out for me, because you lot know that I'd be mispronouncing names on the channel all the time. But he's another academy player that got the nod to travel with Manchester United. And another academy player, or he's actually part of the first team now, is Ethan Wheatley, one of the forwards. I think Manchester United, Ugunni. Okay. Yeah, I think it might be like that, Ugunni. I'm going to say it like that from now on. I think Manchester United have some favourable options for a starting 11. I'm not going to lie. I think they've got some favourable options for starting 11. My only problem is outside of the starting 11, Manchester United don't really have much. Now, in terms of a predicted starting lineup, I think it will be Onana in goal. In the back line, I think it will be Diogo Dalot and Mazraoui at fullback. I think Erik ten Hag will go to the strongest that he can. He will go to the strongest that he can, which means I think Matthijs de Ligt and Matthijs de Ligt and Licha will start. In the front line, I think it will be Rasmus Højlund, although depending on how Jose plays, or if he's going to play kind of like deep and a low block, I wouldn't mind seeing Joshua Zirkzee. But Marcus Rashford, I expect to start. And I also think Garnacho will. Now, the reason why I'm saying I think Garnacho will play, because I actually think the midfield substitution that eventually happens during the game, it will be to either put Joshua Zirkzee or Ahmad in the 10 and take off Christian Eriksen. Because my expectation is Christian Eriksen, Casemiro and Manuel Ugarte, I think they'll all start. All three of them will start. And I think that the change that will happen during the game will be Ahmad in the 10 or Joshua Zirkzee in the 10. Because really and truly, there's no one Manchester United has outside. Like, Garnacho's not really a 10. Marcus Rashford, I think we've seen him play there once or twice before, or we've seen him kind of transition there during the game, but he's not a 10. So the only other people I think that could play in the 10 that could give Eriksen a rest would be Ahmad or Joshua Zirkzee. So do not be fully surprised, guys, if Garnacho and Rashford start, and if Garnacho comes off and Ahmad comes on, we might see a front line of Højlund, Ahmad, Zirkzee, Rashford. And I would love to see, I would actually be so curious to see that, because I actually think that's a good balance of players that can get in behind, that can make runs, but also players that are technically able on the ball to retain possession, keep possession, and create something. I think that's a good balance. Now, will Erik ten Hag do that? We really got to wait and see. We really, really got to wait and see. And last but not least, just quickly on that, people are clutching at straws. People are clutching at straws. I can't believe I've seen people going crazy about this. Luke Shaw is back on the field, individual training. But why are people getting excited? Luke Shaw being back now means he might be available in April, March. He might, like, I'm calling it by next month, Erik ten Hag is going to say he's had a setback. By next month, Erik ten Hag will say that he's had a setback and expects him in maybe after Christmas. January will come. We might see him play. Might. But it'll be poverty minutes. Like, I genuinely think Man United should plan the foreseeable future of their season with the idea that this guy is never coming back. And it's not because I think he's never coming back. I do think he'll come back at some point, but I just think he'll get injured again. And I feel bad for him sometimes, because I'm like, imagine having any sort of health condition. If anyone's got a chronic condition, if they've got a long-term illness, you know what it's like to struggle with your health, where you have good days and then you have bad days. Your body's not doing what you want it to do. You know, you're struggling. You know, some days you might be top of the world. Some days, you know, you're having a setback. As a footballer, I can imagine how difficult it is as well, because your body is not doing what you want it to do. It's not. But I think Man United need to move away from this sentiment. Malacia back, Euro back, Shaw back. Never thought this day would come. They're not really back though, because they're all. I think Malacia is training with the team, but the other two are not. They're both doing individual training. I don't even think Euro is fully back in the pitch. I think he is doing grass training, but I think he's predominantly back in the weight room, because when you've got obviously a leg injury, Malacia included, I think you have to spend some time in the weight room before you can actually go out on the pitch. But they are back training. They're back available in terms of, you know, slowly getting that to that level. But I think Lenny Euro will not be back. I think he won't be part of the matchday squad until maybe next month. End of next month, maybe. Maybe then, even then, he might not be playing. He might just be in and around the training and the training with the first team and the match day squad. That's it, really. That's all I see happening. Sure, it's just there for a candid pick news headline. Nah, I don't think so. But listen, guys, where are we on the likes? Make sure you guys are hitting the like button if you've just come through, or if you've been here and you've been taking part in the discussion of fruits and dessert and all of that, and you didn't hit the like button. Make sure you hit the like button. Jose wants his Premier League title at United. You know what, guys? I don't know. Let me know if you agree. I watched his press conference and I read a lot of the comments of his press conference. Why is it all of the news that has come out of his press conference is obviously things to do with United? Like, nobody has asked him about his time at Fenerbahce, how he sets them up, any particular players. Nobody has really. I feel like that was actually kind of a pointless press conference. It reminds me of the press conference that Noni Madueke had at England in his first like real call up. And they were asking him for about 70% of the press conference, they're asking him about Cole Palmer. Reverse psychology, man, or maybe, I don't know. When I watch press conferences, I like to hear questions that are beneficial. I like to hear questions like it's good kind of titles, you know, because he made a comment about Manchester City saying, you know, if they get found guilty, I want my medal and I want my bonus from Manchester United. So that kind of stuff, it gets you clicks. But this is a Europa League matchup. You should like ask him about the emotional side. Like how does he feel tomorrow coming out playing against Man? It's not his first time playing against Manchester United because he played against Manchester United at Spurs. So it's not his first time, but ask him what is different. What is different this time around meeting in Europa League, the trophy that you won with? That would have been a good question. What is the emotion like for you coming up against Manchester United in the Europa League, knowing that you won this trophy with them and that's the last European title that they won? Those are the kind of questions I want to hear. Instead, it's just bullshit questions. And this is what makes me laugh because I promise you, if and I haven't seen it, by the way. I know Flex probably asked Ten Hag a good question. I probably know that. But this is why I like not having completely mainstream media in press conferences, because you get the same thing in the women's game, guys. They ask the worst. They ask crap questions. Fans want to hear insightful stuff, bro. They're asking Jose Mourinho about Sir Alex Ferguson. That's last week's news. The press conference is about Europa League. Ask about the game. It's so annoying. I don't know. I don't know if I'm the only one that finds it annoying. Or am I just being too reactionary, guys? Am I just being too reactionary? Let me see what you guys are saying. Michael says, true, no actual questions about the game. Not at all. These journalists don't ask good questions at all. Yeah, I think, you know what, they ask, by the way, I think from my experience of knowing people that are journalists, and I've been in press conferences with them, they sometimes get questions from their editors, and then they sometimes get to come up with their questions. So I just think it depends on... And also, guys, you don't get a long chance in a press conference. You put your hand up for a question. Normally what they do is rights holders go first. So Sky Sports, TNT, those, and then like most of the time, obviously the media officer knows all the journalists very well because they're there every single week. So they will go through like BBC, etc., The Athletic, and then maybe they might have but 1 or 2 moments for other people. Then you have to just forcefully try to get your question. But even then, you're only getting 1 question sometimes, 2 at the best. So you have to ask good questions. Instead, the people who get the most questions ask the dumbest shit ever. Anyway, guys, quickly before we wrap it up, predictions. Now, Man United's record under Erik Ten Hag away from home is not good. It's not been good. But their record in Europe under Erik Ten Hag since last season is not good. In fact, going into this game, what is it? Man United have won 1 out of 10 European games under Erik Ten Hag, which was that one Copenhagen win that we had when Onana saved the penalty. Man United don't do well against Turkey, not just under Ten Hag, just generically speaking. Turkey is Manchester United's boogeyman. You know how people go there for liposuction and getting hairline and teeth and all of that? Man United's scared to go there. They're actually scared to go there. If Man United had a receding hairline, they wouldn't even go to Turkey to get their hair done because they're that scared. But how do you guys feel about the game? Because I'm in 2 ways about it. There's just, I feel like the narrative around the game is you know, Erik Ten Hag under pressure. United sink away from home, all of that kind of stuff. The fact that Man United struggle away from home in Europe under Ten Hag in loud atmospheres, that scares me. Because it's not just last season. You don't remember Sevilla, that white wall had Man United bugging out to a point where they crashed out. So I'm a bit concerned. They also have, Fenerbahce don't have the worst team. They've actually got some decent players. They've got Saint Maximin. They've got, who is it? Let me look at the team. We were going through it yesterday. Fenerbahce. Let's see their last starting lineup in Europa League. Their last starting lineup in a Europa League game, they had Amrabat and Fred in a double pivot. They had Livakovic in goal, if you don't remember the Croatian goalkeeper. Dusan Tadic was playing on the left. They had En-Nesyri up top, but they also have Edin Dzeko, who comes off the bench. They're number 9. And they got Saint Maximin as well, and then a bunch of other players as well. So the core of their team is pretty decent. They're 4th in their local league, by the way. They are 4th. They are behind Galatasaray, Besiktas, and a team called Samanspor. And they have the same number of points as United. That's crazy. That is crazy. I'm going to go 1-1. Like 1-1, but it's going to be like just about. But if United do win, I just don't see it. I just don't see the win. And I've listed all my reasonings as to why I don't see the win. But if I will sit here after the game, by the way, and I will praise whoever deserves to be praised if Manchester United win. I think we found something that works. Højlund on form. Maybe we can pull a miracle in Turkey. 2-1. It might have to be a miracle. Yeah, if we win, we'll scumbag it. Given how Man United have just been in general in Europe against Turkish teams, Dzeko and En-Nesyri have killed us in the past. Imagine the shithousery, yeah, if Mourinho decides to play them both. That would be crazy. Jose doesn't lose at home. United don't win away. It has all the makings for a draw. I hear that. Rashford, Eriksen, Garnacho will score for us. Tadic and Saint Maximin will score for them. 3-2. That's interesting. 3-2 is quite hot. Optimistic, 2-1 United. Pragmatic, 1-1. Negative, 2-1 Fenerbahce. You know what? Chalaboy Comics kind of wraps it up for me. That's how I feel. I feel like it could be 1-1. I feel like it could be 2-1. I feel like it could be 2-1 either way. Big up to El Captain with the super chat says, we're still holding you to 10 in 4 games pro clubs. Let me just explain myself, guys. If you lot remember, and by the way, we should be live tonight as well for pro clubs on KG's channel, yeah? But let me just explain myself on the pro clubs thing. I said 10 goals in 4 games. That was before the meltdown happened in the team, in the fan base, whatever you want, in the community. Yeah. So the first game I played on pro clubs, it wasn't a good game. I had 1 goal. I scored. So in 4 games, I actually got 6 goals, which is not that far off from the 10. But I blame it all on the first game, which was the learning game for us. It's our first game together. We're still learning. We lost 6-4. I still think 6-4 is pretty good. I could have had a hat trick. I could have had a hat trick in 2 games, guys. I scored a double in 2 games, in 2 consecutive games. Sorry. But big up for the super chat, and we'll be there tonight. We will be there tonight. How many goals am I scoring tonight? I might have to score 6. Preem, I'm never forgiving him. I feel betrayed, guys. I feel so betrayed. I was singing Preem's praises. I was saying this is my Berbatov to my Wayne Rooney. I was saying this is my version of MSN. I feel betrayed, honestly. I cried for 40 days and 40 nights. I'm joking. I didn't. But I honestly feel betrayed. I feel more betrayed than KG does. Honestly, I'm not even being dramatic. I feel more betrayed than KG does when it comes to Preem. Honestly, he can never show his face around here. I'm so disappointed. So disappointed. Minna bagging more than United. Come on, they should put me up front at this point. But big up to everyone, guys. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. I'm off to go watch the Champions League. Some decent games on tonight as well. Big up to everyone that sent in super chats and everyone that got involved in the conversation in the comment section as well. If you are watching this back, be sure to hit the like button as well. Tomorrow is match day. So what's the routine on match day? We're gonna have in a state of mind after the game, directly after the game. We will also have 5 in 5 things we learned after the game as well. Friday we'll have daily dose of Mena and the lowdown back with Saeed here on the channel as well. And then we got preview content obviously for West Ham. It's just a lot of content. No women's content this week because it's international break in the women's league. So there'll be no women's watch along. But there's a lot of football. There's guys, there's so much football over the next week. In Saudi, there's 2 El Clasicos in Saudi next week. This weekend is the El Clasico. Obviously, Man United's playing this weekend. Liverpool versus Arsenal. It's a weekend of sport. Yeah. So Man United, please do not ruin it for us. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe on your way out. I'll see you lot all tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful evening. I'm out, guys. Peace.